afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Suburban Homesteader Wyoming, Arizona. This is Sandy. It is January 1st, 2023. So we are just starting the day off in a new year. It's my oldest grandson's birthday. He was born on January 21st. Actually, the first baby in Rapid City that year. So it's very exciting. And I have some goals. I like goals. I like working things out on what I'd like to do. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is my top 5 homesteading goals for 2023. Now, if you haven't been to my channel before, you'd think I'd only have 5 goals. But I actually live in Arizona and Wyoming. Now, are those goals the same in my homesteading journey? No. Because in Wyoming, I'm much farther along in my homesteading journey than I am in Arizona. Plus, there's restrictions down here that I can't work around. And so, what are my top 5 goals for homesteading 2023? Let's start with Arizona. Now, one of the goals that Joe and I are going to do for 2023 is build a pizza oven. If you'd seen my videos from Wyoming, you know that we built a pizza oven up there, and we love it. I have made, of course, pizza many, many times. I've cooked breads, I've cooked pies, other meats. It's a nice thing to have. Now, my friends down here tease me because they know that I'm going to build one, that when I'm gone, they're going to come over and use a pizza oven. I said, you just go ahead. I got a pile of wood. You can do it. So that is my number 1 goal. Number 2, I would like to build a combination, if I can, of a solar oven and a solar dehydrator. One of the things I have in Yuma, Arizona, even in the wintertime, is sunshine. It's the sunniest place on earth, actually. Not just in the United States. It is the sunniest place on earth. Now, not the hottest, but it has more sunlight hours, sunshine, than any other place. So why not grab a hold of that solar energy and do some stuff with it? Going along with that, the rainfall in Arizona is much different than in Wyoming. But one of the things they do not have around here, even though they have monsoons, even though the last two and a half days we've had some rain, nobody has gutters. They have no water catchment that I have seen in Yuma, Arizona. No place. I look at people's houses. There's no water catchment. So even in the monsoons, when they could be storing that water to use later, they don't. Now, that's not to say, because there's plenty of people I know in Arizona that are not in Yuma, that have rural homesteads, that do catch all the water that's possible. So I am going to do some water catchment ideas. So I'm totally excited about that. Now I'm going to add a few more green spaces in my yard. One of the things in Arizona is they love their gravel. I mean, seriously. There's a few people around my village that they have some grass. Not a lot, but they have some grass. But most people have gravel. And most people have cacti. But very few have gardens, which, you know, if you've watched my videos for a while, I have gardens here. We have some fruit trees that we've planted. I found a composter that will withstand the heat of Arizona. Even though I will put it in the shade when we're gone in the summertime. But I hate throwing things away. Now, some I can bury, you know, but I would like a regular composter. And I did look at a Lumi, which is an indoor composter. It's very cool looking. My daughter has one. They're very spendy. So that's not in my budget. So I'm going to have a composter outside, and when I order that and it comes, I will show you that. because that is one of the goals for in the green space in my Arizona homestead. So I'm going to add a couple more fruit trees. There are things that I would like to grow down here, but I don't grow. Like I can grow grapes down here. There are a few apples varieties that I could grow. But the thing is that they ripen when I'm not here. So either my neighbors are going to have to pick them or the birds are going to peck them. So I don't grow those things. So I am more on the banana side and the citrus side. But there are some citruses that I haven't purchased yet that I'm going to add in my green spaces. So that eventually I will just have so much continuous fruit. And then I can use some of that fruit in my solar dehydrator that we're going to build. Now, another thing that I'm going to add, which is my number 5 thing, is I think it's important. Now, up in Wyoming, I have hydroponics, and I've shown my indoor hydroponics. I've done hydroponics outside in tubs. I'm going to do some hydroponics for down here. And so that's one of my goals. So in Arizona, building a pizza oven, making a solar oven slash dehydrator, adding to my green space, water catchment, and number 5, hydroponics. So let's switch and go to Wyoming. Now, we've lived in our house in Wyoming for almost 18 years. No, I take that back. We have lived there for 18 years. This spring it'll be 19 years. And so we've added a lot of things. And as you know, we have some great friends that lend us chickens, the 5 chickens that I can have in town, and then they take them back when we come down to Arizona. So to add to those chickens, I first thought about doing a separate run so that it could go through the gardens. But I think I'm just going to build a tractor, a chicken tractor, so that they can just come out their door, go into the tractor, and I can move them different places in the yard. So that's one of my goals, to build. Now, I do need to change the fence around the chicken. We just used that big welded wire. What we found was that the birds wanted to come in and eat the chicken feed. And so then we got a different chicken feeder that the birds step on, the chickens step on it, and it opens up. And that helped a lot of the problem. But I don't want regular birds in my chicken area. So we're going to put a different kind of fence that has much smaller holes that the birds can't go through. And then we're going to top it with a netting. And so that is my number 1 goal, is to do those things with the chickens. The second one for up in Wyoming is on one side of our backyard, one of the hills where we have the food forest. I have lots of fruit trees, I have some nut trees, and I have some berry bushes. But I want to add in lower ground level plantings that are fruit or vegetables, or like a lot of the apple trees there have garlic that grow around them, or I'll plant onions around them because that just helps with some of the bugs. But I want to add some strawberries up there. I need to thin my strawberries anyway, and some other low growing ground level things that we can eat in our food forest. So that's number 2. Number 3, rabbits. Now, I have had rabbits, gosh, since the kids were little. But now that we go both places, that made it so it was hard, just like the chickens. But my dear friends that lend us the chickens also are going to lend us some rabbits. So I'm going to be building some rabbit cages, because the ones that we've had, we must have gave those away. Or maybe I dismantled them and used the wood and the wire. I'm not sure. So I'm going to be designing and building some rabbit cages. And then the kids can still show them at fair, you know, that they can come over, help with them, all the stuff that they need to do. But I will get their poo, because that's why I want rabbits, for the garden. Now, in my front yard, it comes out and then it slopes down. And so I have a flower bed that's very terraced. But on the opposite side of the driveway, I did a video, oh, it must have been 2 years ago, where I just took where it was plain bare ground and we did all kinds of planting and we added some trees. Well, on that slope, it's very hot in the west sun. So I'm going to do a little bit of terrace there, probably 2 or 3 steps, not very wide. And I'm going to grow on there. That way the water will seep down in it instead of wanting to run off. And I'm not wasting that space. I no longer will have to mow right there. And I think it will help it thrive. And so that is another, number 4. Now my 5th one, you guys have seen pictures of my little greenhouse. Now we have had different size greenhouses in our property, but the one we have now, somebody had given us a metal framed one, and we covered it, so we had taken the bigger one down. But really, when I moved my art studio into our big shed, it kind of became a catch-all. I mean, it had my bee equipment, my pots, wagons, just all kinds of different things. So I'm going to take the time this spring when we first get back, and I'm going to totally revamp it. I'm going to find places for all this stuff in there. If I can't find a place, I'm giving it away. And so I'm going to get that all done so that I can do some seed starting in there, and then I can actually grow in there too. My goal to grow in there is some peppers. I might do a tomato or 2, but mostly I want to do melons, watermelons, cantaloupes, honeydews, because the heat in there, and it will also block all that wind, because Wyoming is known for its wind. So the top 5 in Wyoming are doing some things with the chicken tractor, new fencing around it. I think I'll even make a new gate for that. Ground story on the food forest, number 2. Number 3, the rabbits and their cages. Number 4, see, I'm looking at my list over here. I don't want to miss anything. Planting and terracing that front part. And the last one, for number 5, is really making it so I can use my greenhouse to the fullest. I love it, the idea on a greenhouse that you can start earlier in the springtime, and it should last all the way till when we come back to Arizona. So those are my top 5 in both Arizona and Wyoming of my homesteading goals for 2023. But the question is, what is your goals for 2023? Put them in the comments below. I'll see you next time.